Hello everyone, so today I'm going to show you how you can make this animated onboarding UI with beautiful image, assets and dark mode. So you can get the starter template project over here. There is another repo, a branch. So just download this and make sure that your star on this repository. It will help me a lot. Thank you so much. This is the starter template that you can get on the GitHub repository. So let's see what it's there. So there are two files available on the template. So one is in the screens folder. Inside the screens folder, you will see that there is a onboard page widget. There is a stateless widget, and it's basically a center widget rendering this text over here. We don't really need that, but we're using that because it's gonna look good on the starter template. So over here we have the constant.dart. So this is actually the template. So this is actually the template that I talked about. Let's minimize this. So this is the theme data. So if you scroll on the top of the page, you'll see that there are some colors over here, which is using the hex color format, using the material package or material.dart file, if you say. So we're basically using these themes on the material app over here. So the first one is the light theme data, which is coming from the constant file. This one, this one, and the other one is the dark theme, which is using the dark theme data. That is this variable over here. So we're gonna start building the static UI at first, then we're going to animate the UI, then at last we're going to implement the dark mode or light mode color switch. So let's see. Alright, so our static UI is done. So we're gonna wrap things up here. So this is the title, and this is the page indicators over here. That is the vector image on center inside a page. What was that? Like page view custom. And before that, we have the background image over here, which is the wave background. And this is the top dark and skip button. So we're going to work with this portion on the last part when we're going to implement the dark mode and light mode. So basically we're going to animate this right now, how they will be animated, this title and everything, with the background image and the page indicators. So right now the child count is 3, so that's why there are 3 images, and the images are coming directly from the images folder. And please check out the file naming convention. That's because the page view index, when the index is at 0, this image is loaded. When the index is 1, this image is loaded. So we don't want to use different images. So what we're going to do is use this whole image, and we're going to move this image when the page actually changes. So let's see the animation properties. Oh, another thing over here, we don't want these things inside the build function. So we want these things before the build function, because if you put them inside the build function, they will stay like that if you call the setState function. That is because when you call the setState function, basically the build function rerun again. So we need these things, and we're going to move these animation properties over here. All right, so at first we need the we're going to be animating the background image, that is the green colored wave. So let's put animated position wave image left. So we're going to go to the wave background image over here. So at first I'm gonna convert this to animated position, and the duration is a mandatory or required field. We're going to be setting the duration to 400 millisecond, and the value over here is going to be the animated position wave image left. That is the this variable over here. So if you restart, so there won't be any kind of changes, but when this when this page is actually changed by the user, we are going to call a function so that other properties are changed. So let's define a function, page change function. So it will be, I don't know, update page. So it's gonna call the setState. So inside that, another thing is that we're going to be taking the next index. So let's just comment these things out and call this function when the page changes inside the page view.custom. on page change, so we're gonna send a value that is this value, and let us print this. So right now, let's just read on the app again, so you'll better understand what is happening over here. So right now I'm on the 0th index. So if I go to the first index, so 1 is getting printed over here. So if I go to the second index, 2 is printed over here. So it is working the same way. If you go to the previous page, 1 and 0. So we will update the page index, which is using over here. So at first, let's set the page index to next index. Then we have to see if next index is 0. That means that user is transitioned from the second page to the first page, that is the 0th index. So we're going to set the title to follow our tips to achieve success. And the next one we're going to be setting is the animated position left to 40. That is, these are actually the default value. So on the next part, let's check if the next index is 1. Then let's just copy things over here like this, and we are going to update this to keep your investments safe, and this will be minus 350, and the same thing we will set the title text to start to invest on the next line for your future, and this will be minus 750. So if I you don't really need to restart the application, but I do it all the time, I don't know why. So let's set this. So you are saying that this is actually changing. So the title is changed, and check out the background image. It is actually moving from right to left. So there is a smooth transition, and you can further customize these, by the way. So for example, if you go to the wave image, you can set a different duration. For example, you can set 700, and when you go to the second page, it will take some more time. So let's set it to 1 second or 1000 milliseconds. So it's gonna look like this. So better if you set it around 400 to 600. Let's just keep it half second, or maybe 400 millisecond. That's about it. Okay, so the title is changing, but there is no animation, or it's not actually going bottom or down like the design video that I showed you earlier. So we have to make this animated, and let's just copy the where is that? Copy the duration and we have to check if basically we're going to check if the page index is divisible by 2. So if it is divisible by 2, then ds.height divided by 1.4, otherwise it should be 7. So again, starting when we start, it is going from up to down. So what I want is that I want the on the first page, I want the title to be on the bottom portion of our application. So what we're going to do is set if the page index is I don't know, 1, then it should be ds.height 1.4, and otherwise it should be 7. And another thing is that we're going to there is no space on the bottom section, right? So we didn't actually set the ds.height, so it should be divided by 7. So right now it is working really great. So the title is animating, the background is animating, and you can further customize or animate this thing. So for example, if the text is on top of this vector image, you can actually animate this vector image to set some padding on top. So let's actually go to the image. So for example, we can set different we can use different kind of thing, like if you're going to use animated switcher, you can use that also. So let's go to the vector image. So for example, like you can make this only, and if the page index is 1, then you can write 30, otherwise 0, and this should be on top only. And you can further use this like 60 or maybe 100. It really depends on you. So there is a slight change, like you see on this. So you can actually animate this thing, and for that you have to use animated padding basically. So again, copy the duration, and right now it's not going to be a snap, so it's going to be a smooth transition, like over here, like it's going up then down, up and down. And you can use curves, so ease in and out. It really depends on you how you are further animating these things. So our title animation is done, our wave background image animation is done, our vector image animation is done also, and right now we're going to animate the this page indicators. So let's go to the code and check if the page index is equals to index, basically coming from over here. So we're going to say that it should be 15, otherwise it should be 10. So let's set this So you can set like this, but there is no animation, like there is a snap of height and change. So if I further make it big, like 45, you can better understand it. So like there is no animation. So what you have to do, again, we are going to use the okay, not the height, the width. So we are going to use the animated container. Again, it should be duration, and it again, I'm saying again and again, so it really depends on you, how fast or how slow you want to animate these things. So if I set 100, okay, not 6.1 second, just 100, it will be a snap. So if you set 600, there will be a smooth animation transition of the height and width. So it is looking pretty good, right? And we want an icon button, basically a floating action button over here, if the user on the last page. And we want to hide this skip button if the user is on the last page. So let's fold this code. Let's check if okay, I did put a comma on the last after the last bracket. So this will be the floating action button. So it will not be inside here. Let's just copy it and put it after stack. So at first I'm gonna hide the skip button. So that is over here. So if the page index is not equals to 2, that means that the user is on 0 or 1 number page. That is the first and second page. So if the user is on the last page, that is the third page, I'm gonna say that so let's save this and see. But I want to animate this thing. So if you want to animate this thing, there are some ways you can do that. For example, you can use an animated switcher. Animated switcher. Let's put a duration. Let's put 400. So at first, let's just move this to the here and restart. So there is no switching or hide or show functionalities right now. So that's because we did not implement any kind of the condition. So if this is not 2, then show this, otherwise just show the sized box. That's it. So see, there is a super smooth hide and show this thing. So let's just copy this thing, because we're going to use this for the floating action button. Floating, okay, not this one. Animated switcher. So it will not be this. I will be changing this thing, so it should be floating action button. So let's put a icon. Icons.rocket. So you're gonna have to set the color so the page indicators are of this color. Let's make this floating action button of this color. It's really up to you how you're handling this thing. So if you go to the constant, you'll see that these are actually this color scheme or color theme. So what you can do is set the background color to another color. So for example, colors.blue. Why did I put a const over here? I don't know. I don't know why I did that. So I'm not gonna use this. So what we will be using, let's just check the. So if you use a floating action button, I just checked the code. If you use a floating action button, there is a problem, like this is not aligned perfectly. So if you want to align perfectly, what you have to do is, okay, so let's check the animation at first, then we're going to decide how we're going to align this page indicator and the floating action button. So you see that the title changes, the image position goes up and down, the title position goes up and down with an animation, the skip button goes away with the floating action button. So we are this should be equal instead of not equal. So if the user is on the last page, the button should be visible. All right, so we don't really want this thing on this floating action button. So let's copy this thing, and so let's go to the page indicator. So this is the page indicator, and right now you're seeing that basically this is the last part of our animation. So what we're going to do is put this thing after the start button, put this after the what is that, the title, basically the last children on the stack. So we are going to align this thing. So the alignment should be alignment of bottom right, and we are going to use some padding so that it matches. So the right padding should be ds that with, I think 0.05 should be great. That is 5%. Okay, I don't want that. Then there should be bottom padding as well. So it should be height 0.03 will do fine. Okay, so it is center aligned. So we don't want this to be of color blue. So the hex color is 0 CF2 B and 5. All right, and let's check out the dark theme. So to implement that, we're not going to use any other packages. So what we're going to do is we are basically use value listenable builder. So if you are using this extension, and if you write value, then this thing will pop up, value listenable builder, and it will be asking for a value listenable. So what we're going to do is make a static value notifier at first. So static final value notifier. So the type should be theme mode, and this name is theme notifier, notified notifier value. It should be theme mode dot light, or you can use system. So for example, if the user has set dark mode in their mobile application, the whole device, like the iOS dark mode is enabled, then the app is going to start with dark mode. If the user has set light mode in the settings, then it will start as a light mode. So this is actually using the default theme mode, or the theme mode that is used by the user. So there is a description, dark theme based on what the user has selected in the system setting.